All right, welcome back. We have 360 plus war stories, cop stories. You'll like them. 7, 8, 9 minutes, depending on content. Gross alerts, all kinds of police stuff. A lot of background stuff you wouldn't see or hear anywhere else but here. And attached to that, over 190 questions and answers. So ask me a question. Please email me at, if I can say it, rsbcopstories@gmail.com. And this is one question that came up, and if you ask me, I'll send it back to you. This one I can't send back because it's really lengthy, so you have to listen to it on the video, okay? The question is, how do you train a recruit out of the academy? And the last one I was talking about, from the roll call to the parking lot and getting the shotgun. Remember, this takes time, okay? You can imagine me telling you this takes time. Can you imagine actually doing it takes time, okay? So now the shotgun is in the rack, which runs along the bench seat in front, okay? Open up the trunk, put our stuff in there. Again, he is just looking at me because he has no idea what he's doing, okay? And around him is like 8 police cars with officers exchanging cars, because we have a lot of cars. Probably still don't. So the car that works all day on the day shift, if it's available, some guys are still on radio calls. When they come in, the cars that are available come in from the day shift. Those officers are cleaning out their car while the night shift guys walk up and take the car over, okay? So in this parking lot, you got maybe a good 8 or 9 cars. That's 16 officers, okay, that are going out. They got 16 that are coming in. A lot of people out there. You got to be careful because you got a lot of shotguns out there, a lot of guns moving around. So you got to be careful. When anybody shot in the parking lot, okay, it's dangerous enough out there as it is. You could wind up taking a bullet in the leg and in the parking lot. Bad enough. One of my cop stories, one of the officers was doing quick draw in the coffee room and they shot a bullet through his leg. Okay, look that one up. One of my old partners. Anyway, so a lot of activity in the parking lot. Sirens are going, guys are checking their sirens, checking their lights. He's standing there, doesn't know what to do. So I say, get in the car. We get in the car, doors are open. Okay, we're going to check all the lights in the car. Okay, so you walk behind me, tell me the brake lights are working, the headlights are working, because this is our office for 8 hours. Okay, so he's doing that, and I go, and I hit the siren, and I point up at he goes like this, red lights are working, goes back, okay, come on, get back in the car, get back in the car. Okay, now, we're going to check the back seat. In those days, we had regular back seats. Now they have the molded plastic, kits there with a couple of holes in the bottom, and you get there, you just hose them down, the water goes out, and then you're done. Now these are just regular Plymouths or Matadors that have just regular car seats, and the back seats are some of our old timers here, like my buddy and myself, you lift the bottom, you lift them up and they come out, and you step back in, they slip down. That's the old days. Okay, that's what these were. It was nice because if you had a guy with fleas, getting outside note here, you get a guy that a lot of guys poop on themselves, pee on themselves. Then when you get back to the station after you roll the windows down with the air conditioning going in the middle of winter, okay, you take them into the jail, then you come back and you take that seat out and throw it in a stack they had over there of used seats. Then they had another shed full of new ones. You take the new one out, put it in, you're off and running. That's you can't stop this. This is police work. Gotta go 24 hours a day. Okay, so I said we're gonna check the back seat. He goes, what for? He laughed at me. What? He goes, they talked about this. Remember, they're only talking about it, not doing it. So I have to explain, I'll explain to you, okay? When you start your shift, you have to make sure that car is clean, and I mean clean of contraband. Under the both front seats, the passenger seat and the driver's seat, you go into there with your flashlight. Nothing against the guy that had it ahead of you, but he might have missed something. He might have had an arrest and someone stashed something, okay? So to keep the court and continuity of evidence correct, we check under the seats, the front seats, take the seat out, check underneath the seat, put it on the side, check everything that seat is under, especially where the seats met, the bottom and the top, right in the crack. Because if they got an arrestee, that's where he's going to shove whatever he wants to get rid of. Okay, so you check everything, then you put the seat back in. That way, if you arrest someone and you put him in that car, for some reason you missed dope. Usually it's dope. We're checking for guns all the time, but most of the time, I'll tell you another story about that in a minute. And say he got it out of his butt or somewhere and stuck it in that crack, and then when you take him out, I'm going off a little bit, I have to tell you why we do this. As soon as you take him out to go to jail, you take the seat out and you look in there, and that's where you find the dope. So you can testify in court, for all continuity here, that before putting him in, which is like 3 hours early, whatever time you started your shift, I checked the seat, nothing was back there. I put him back there, see where is this going, I took him out, I took the seat out, and there's a bag of Coke or pot or whatever. That'll show the court and juries that you checked that car and it was clean, and now he put it in there and it's obvious that it's his. They may not convict, this is California, but anyway, that's what you want to do, that so that you're doing it properly and that we do everything by the book, okay? So that's why you do the back seat. Let me tell you a little side note here that kind of relates to that. A couple of years prior to that, I wasn't a train officer then. A partner and I were working. It was a rainy day. Motor officers had come out and checked some black and whites out because they can't ride motorcycles to patrol. We got a car back that was used by a motor officer. Checked the back seat. It was my turn. I'm the passenger officer. I checked it, and what did I find under the seat in that little crack? A .38 pistol. Okay, now it looked like one of our pistols. We have a little one, like a little Dragnet one, a little 2-inch they call it. And Internal Affairs is always trying to run, cases on officers that were not checking cars, were not booking evidence, and all that stuff. So I looked at that and went, we looked at each other. It's Internal Affairs. We just know it is. It looks like a cop gun. So, nope. Pick it up with a pencil. Said Prince. Go to the watch commander's office. Now you put it on a sergeant. Later on, people put it on me. I found this in the back seat, on the back floor of my car, in the back seat. What? Okay, so they dusted for prints, no prints on it, just to do it for drill, just for the hell of it. They ran the VIN number, they ran the ID number on the pistol, looked up, this is how you can find out stuff, looked up who checked out the car, what arrest did they make that day, and isn't it funny, they made a DUI arrest about 4 in the afternoon, and the person they arrested matches the gun ownership on the serial number. He dumped a gun on him. Okay, that's interesting in itself. What's even more scary is he had a gun in that back seat. Instead of just dumping the gun, he could have decided to take care of business himself and shoot the officers. That's what made it so bad, okay? So we gave it to the sergeant. They called Internal Affairs, and that thing was off and running. I have no idea what happened to it. I can only assume that those officers took a day or two without pay, because not only is it against department policy to miss evidence like that and to miss checking the back seat, but it's also inherently dangerous for not only the officers, but the criminal. If he starts shooting at officers, they're going to shoot him, and whoever gets killed or not killed, it's going to come out. Why did he have a gun, and what's he do? I mean, that is the obvious question. So that's why we do that. Okay, I can tell you from personal experience. So anyway, so back to the immediate question. So I'm explaining to him that story I told you and why we do this. And he goes, oh, he's got a look on his face, oh my gosh, because to him everything is like it was with me. Everything's new. Everything's, and most of them are, everything's exciting because this is it. This is not going to a classroom for 6 months and talk about police work. This is the real deal. Okay, so do that. Get in the car. Then I have to ask him some tactical questions. Now, this is a question that came up in one of my stories before with a lady partner of mine. I'm going to have to go off on one of these because I have to. There's no way getting around this. There was a movie that came out. Okay, Joseph Wamble. I can tell it's out there. It's not. Joseph Wamble was the author. He was a LAPD detective, and it was a real life situation. It was called The Onion Field, and it's out there. You can look it up. Okay, you can look up watch the movie if you want. James Wood is one of the bad guys in there. I don't know who the other guys were. Basically, 2 officers got kidnapped. They were doing a felony car, stopping people, and 2 crooks got the jump on them. And one officer had a gun. The other one, he told him to drop it, and now it's a standoff. The 2 criminals. One officer's already dropped his gun. The other officer's got the gun, and they're yelling at him, drop the gun or we'll kill both of you. Okay? As a background, before that shooting, I think it was 1968. Officers had been kidnapped before. They were taken away. They used their car. They stole the wallets of the officers, stole their money, left them handcuffed, and they left. So there was no officers being killed prior to that time. They were all just being kidnapped for their own reason to get out of town. It was one of the first times that officers eventually got assassinated. Okay? So they got him. So the other officer drops the gun. They cuffed him, drove him out to Bakersfield, put him in the field, and they shot one of the officers in the back of the head, and they're going to kill the other one. He got away. And they caught the guys, and there's 2 of them, convicted him first-degree murder, and sentenced him to death, and our wonderful Supreme Court said, no, that's too harsh, even though one officer's killed. They assassinated him. They should shoot him one thing to get in a blazing shootout at a bank robber, which is not good either, but to handcuff a guy and walk up and blow him in the back of the head, that's just horrible, okay? So they got off, of course, So anyway, they didn't get off, but they served life sentences, and thankfully they died in prison, okay? But the other officer that survived was mentally unstable for the rest of his life because he felt responsible for his partner's death. So subsequent to that, I'm getting back online here. I had to let you know where that background is. They taught us in the academy that if someone gets a drop on you, someone has you walk up to a car and the door opens up and the guy's looking right there, and not you, just staring at you with a gun, and there's a standoff, you have a better chance of surviving if you take action right then and there. Do not let them handcuff you. Do not let them put you on your knees because they're going to kill you anyway based on what happened there and other places at that same time around the country. So now you have to come up with a plan. And the plan was this. You have to come up with a signal to your partner who, if you're like this, don't shoot me, and your partner's also that way. If you're close to the gun, you have to have a signal to let him know that I'm going to take action, and as soon as I take action, you start shooting. And if I get shot, so be it. You have to do that, okay? There's an old Mexican thing that my dad told me. It's better to die on your feet like a man than die on your knees like a lamb, okay? Okay, so that was, and I worked a Latino division, so that was even more macho, that no one's going to put me on my knees. Woo! I know blacks too. I work with black partners, same thing, because of their background of being oppressed and all that. And officers take that in, we're human beings, they take that to them in the field. And the black officers I work with in South Los Angeles think the same thing. Not going to put me on my knees. You're going to have to shoot me right now. I don't know about the Caucasian officers. I only work with those guys very much. I was a minority officer. I work with minorities. But anyway, so back to the plan A. So we're in the car now. I haven't left the police station yet, okay? And sergeants know that I'm not going to leave for a while. So I'll tell you what we used to do. I don't know what they do now. Doesn't matter, because it's not a secret to be let loose, because this is not something that's done. Every officer does it different. Okay, so it's not going to affect what happens out there now. If somebody sees this and goes, oh no, I know what the officer's talking about. No. Everybody does it different. What I taught my recruit to do, and everybody that I work with, even my seasoned partners, is we get in that car and the first thing, what's the signal? What's the signal? And the signal is, what it was at the time, is that we're both standing there like this, guy's got a gun on us, it doesn't matter who it is, but the guy who has the gun on is the one that takes the action. Usually, I'm pretty far away from the camera here. I'm about 6 feet, maybe, from the camera. Usually, that's a distance or less that you're standing in front of a criminal. It's not way far across the lot. If you're far away, you can just run. If he's far enough away, you can just run and hope for the best. But if you're up close, the chance of getting an accurate shot on you is increased because you're closer. So it's on me. I told my partner, told all my recruits and everybody, if he's got the gun on me, he's going to say, give me your guns, give me your guns. And I'm going to tell my partner, give him your gun. And when I say gun, you start shooting. Because when I say gun, I'm either going to go for him or I'm going to go to the right and go for him. I'm going to do something. So you need to do something to beat him. And we trained at the academy, this isn't a side, this is direct. It's a thing called lag time, where if you got a gun on someone and he makes a move towards you, everyone has to think, threat, what do I do? Pull the trigger and shoot. That's called lag time. It's about a 3/4 of a second to a second. Believe it or not, we've actually practiced that with empty guns, where you this far away, you make a move. By the time the officer gets right to the crook, you hear the click, because there's a lapse as to what they're going to see and what they do. Officers have a quicker response than the crook does, because the crook's never been experienced this before. He's probably never been confronting police officers before, so he's already inherently scared. He's nervous, and that helps in our favor that we can overcome that. So that was my the one I used for all my partners, and when I work later on, we use that all the time. Partner, take his gun. On the word gun, we're moving to the groove, they call it. Okay, and if I get shot, so be it. Had a couple officers that had their signals. I think one in Hollywood and not in Van Nuys, but that's what happened to them, because that's exactly what happened. They got a gun on them, and they took action, and they killed the suspect both times. And I think one officer took a small wound to the shoulder. It worked. It went out all over the stations. This stuff works. You got to do this. So I'm in the car with him. And we're talking about that. I had him repeat it like 10 times. You know why you're saying this? You say it. I'll say it. You say it. I mean, it seems like you have to continue like a Pavlov dog. You got to keep saying it, because we're going to get out there in the real world, and one of us could get hurt. And I don't want that to happen, especially if he doesn't know what he's doing. At least if we get out there and a gun is pulling us, hopefully with a 10 repetitive thing he just did, he'll remember, oh, the word gun is when I'm going to do something. Okay? You don't know? Hopefully he will. Okay? And I'm trying to cut this down, but I just told him run out of time again. I'm so sorry. But I hope you enjoy this, and we'll see you next time. Okay? Bye-bye.